Hello Math1 students. Today we are going to do section 4.5, solving equations and inequality. Here you are supposed to do ready, set, go. Let's start with the ready part, and that says rewrite the given word sentences as math sentence, like you have to write an expression for that. And how do you write it? You're supposed to use these symbols, inequality symbols, and you have to use in place of a number where the variable is being told. So let's start with very first question, just an example. I'm thinking of a number that is greater than 13. So when you talk about any number, you always assume it to be a variable, and they're here asking you to use x. So we will be using x. So that's x is greater. So greater than means they have used this symbol greater. X is greater than 13. Then second one is, I'm thinking of a number that is at least, means it has to be the lowest value can go up to 13 but not below than that. So it means when I have to write, I would be writing x is, the unknown thing could be greater equal to 13. Then the next expression is, I'm thinking of a number that is no fewer than 13. It means it is not supposed to be less than 13, could not be, so it could take 13 but not more below than that, can have more values than that. So we can say x is greater equal to 13. Now I'm thinking of a number that does not exceed 13. All right, so a number means x, and does not exceed 13 means it is not going to cross 13 but it can reach 13, the value. So it cannot cross, so it means it will have values which is less than that. So x is less than equal to 13. All right, then we have next one. I'm thinking of a number that is at most 13, means maximum someone can reach, that's going to be 13 but not more than that. So it means anything which is at most, in this case going to be less or equal. In this case x is less than equal to 13. So always create a sentence and then think about. Then next is x, I'm thinking of a number that is no more than, means it is no more than 13, means 13 up to 13 it can have the values but no more than that, means the values are going to be lesser than that. So I could say x is less than equal to 13 because it can reach 13 but not more than that. Now it talks about the next expression that says, I'm thinking of a number that is fewer than 13. It has to be fewer, less than 13. Fewer means less than 13 but cannot reach 13, means in this case we have to use less than 13. So you keep in mind here we are not using less than equal to, it is less than 13. So that's the difference, because it has to be fewer than 13. Same way, if I go to the next question that says a number that is not above 13, means it says it's not above 13 but it could be 13, it's saying that. So means anything which is less than but going to be less and equal. So here I say x is less than equal to 13. Then we have eighth one. Eighth says that I'm thinking of a number that is less than 13. So if it is less than 13 means it's supposed to be just below 13. So I would simply write this. Then I'm thinking of a number that is not under 13. Not under 13, it means it is above 13, and it's not under, so it could be 13 also, that's a possibility. So it means we're going to write x is greater, it has to be above, and it could be equal also, so that's 13. So the line under that greater equal to equal symbol, greater and less symbol, is that equality symbol. Now I'm thinking of a number that's not greater than 13. If it is not greater than 13, it means it has to be less than 13, and it's not greater, it means it could be equal to also. So I could write x is less than equal to 13. That's my answer. All right, so let's move to the next question. That's question number 11 for set part. That says here to take, so here write the solve inequalities from a context. So to take sweepstakes for the largest pumpkin crop at the Riverside County Fair, the average weight, they're talking about average weight of Ethan's 2 pumpkins must be greater than 875 pounds. One of his pumpkins weighs 903 pounds. What is the least amount of pounds the second pumpkin could weigh in order for Ethan to win the prize? So you need to calculate how much it should weigh so that he wins the prize. So the average should be greater than 875. So if I do the first problem A, and I assume the weight of second pumpkin, if I say that is P, so average is what? Average is, you just add the weight of both pumpkins. So one of his pumpkin is 903 plus P, and when you take average, you just divide. If it is 2 things, you divide by 2, 3 things, divide by 3. But this average, they say it must be greater than 875. So they're saying average should be greater than 875. So average expression I have 903 plus P over 2, that's greater than 875. That's my first expression here, answer for the first question. So inequality you got. Now let's do the B part. So for B, we do B. B says describes in words the quantities that would work in this situation. So what could be different quantities for this, like how much the pumpkin should weigh? So it means I have to solve the inequality. 903 plus P over 2 is 875. What I would do, I multiply both sides by 2 in order to solve this inequality. I would be getting, so here 903, that's 903. So 903 plus P is 875. You multiply that, that's 2 5s are 10, 1 2 7s are 14, and 15, 1 2 8s are 16, and 17. So 1750, and your P is what you subtract 903 from both sides, and you're going to get 847. But make sure one thing, it was greater, so I have to keep the symbol greater here, not equal. So it is supposed to be greater. It's not an equalities, it's an inequality, so that's greater. So it says the weight of the other pumpkin should be more than 847 pounds. So what we can say, the pumpkin should weigh more than 847 pounds. That's the meaning of that. Okay, now let's do the other one. That's something that says what you have to do. That says write your answer in both interval notation and set notation. When we say interval notation, it means I have to write like this, and when I have to say set notation, we have to write like this. X is such that X is taking what kind of values, you just write like that. So let me show you how to write it. So here it means the pumpkin should be 847 pounds, other pumpkin, or any value after that. So if I have to write down the interval notation, so that's C, interval notation, that's going to be, it could be 847 pounds, and anything after that could be any size, so infinity. when it's not defined. And when I have to talk about set notation, that's going to be x such that x is any real number. Means it could be any real number, but the condition is x has to be greater than 847. This is written like this. That's the set notation. Let's move to the next question. It's almost similar like that. Next is the average of Aaron's 3 test scores must be at least 93 to earn A in class. Aaron scored 89 on the first test, 94 on the second test. That's the first test score, second test score. What scores can Aaron get on his third test score to guarantee an A in the class? So possibility, the highest possible score is 100. So no more than 100 someone can score. So let's see write the inequality, write and solve an inequality that models the situation. Be sure to define your variables. So first I have to define, here in this case we don't know the third test how much he's going to score. So now I can do that for third test score. So third test score, if I assume it to be x, so average is what? I have to find average. Average is going to be, in the first test he got 89, second test he got 94, then third test we assume it to be x, and if I'm taking average, there are 3 items, so divided by 3. And then they're saying write an inequality. So this average has to be at least 93. Means could be 93 but not less than 93. 93 and above. So it means this average is 89 plus 94 plus x over 3, that has to be greater equal to 93. Alright, that has to be greater equal to 93, this average. Then I have to solve it. So what I would do, I would be adding, so let's add 89 and 94, that gives us 183 plus x. So we have to simplify 8 over 3 greater equal to 93. What I can do in order to solve, so let's multiply 3 on both sides because we don't want the denominator on the bottom. So that will give me 183 plus x is greater equal to, so now here we have 93 times 3, and that's, we're going to get 279. And after that I have to subtract 183 from both sides. I get x is greater equal to, I'm getting, answer is 96. So means it is telling me that he's supposed to score 96 or above. That seems to be an answer. So let's see what's the second part saying. Second part is saying describe in words the quantities that would work in this situation. So we already solved it. So it means Aaron must, that's B, Aaron must get a 96 or higher on the test. He must get 96 or higher on the test. So that's the thing. So let's move to part C. So we are moving to part C. That says describe your answer in both interval and set notation. So if I do interval notation I told you, so it says like you have to use the bracket here. So it says he needs to get 96, but then he needs to get something which is above. So lowest value is 96 when you write interval notation, lowest and max, minimum and max. So max, how much he can score? He cannot, this time it's not infinity like last time. The pumpkin could have been any size, could be giant, very big one. So here he could not score more than 100. So he can either score 96 or above the 96 and can go up to 100. That's the interval notation. And if I have to do the set notation, that's going to be x. You start the curly bracket such that x is belonging to q here, and then that's going to be 96 less than equal to x is less than equal to 100. All right, so that's our set notation here. And then let's move to next question. Cell phone company offers a plan that costs 35.99 and includes unlimited texting. Another company offers plan this and charges this much per text. So they have different strategies to charge. So what we have to do, what number of texts does the company plans cost more than the first company? So they're talking about the second company cost more, means how many text messages should be there so that the second company is costing more than the first company. We have to write and solve an inequality that models this situation, and we have to define a variable. So let's start with first part, A. So I don't know how many text messages, so let's assume number of text, and that we assume it to be x. So in both situations, so cost of, suppose if this is the company A and or the first company, let's refer it first and second company. First company, that's going to be what? That's simply they're charging 35.99, and the cost of second company, they're charging 19.99, and after that, depending on how many texts you make, 0.25x. So that's the cost for the other company. But we have to find out how many text messages the second company has to do, so that's more pricey, means this plan should be pricier. So the first one is going to be lesser. So if I have to write the inequality, 35.99, that has to be less than 19.99 plus 0.25x. That's the inequality we were supposed to say. Okay, now in this case, that's the first part, we're supposed to give the answer. Second question, describe in words the quantities that would work in this situation. So it means I have to solve this inequality. What I would do, I'll just continue from the previous answer. I need to subtract 19.99 from both sides. So I will subtract 19.99 from both sides, and I'm going to get here this is less than 0.25, and here that's 0.006, and this is 1. So 16 is less than 0.25x here, and then what we need to do, we need to divide both sides by 0.25. When we divide by 0.25, because it's a positive number, we don't have to be reversing anything here, and when you do it, your answer is going to be 64. So means after 64, when there are more than 64 messages, this is saying, so it means we are supposed to, so I would continue here in this part. So that's continued after 64 messages, second company is going to be more expensive. All right, so let's move to the other one, C. C says again the same way, interval and set notation. So interval notation, we have to write down like this, and that's going to be what, like it has to be, it's after 64, but when you're messaging, the messages could be unlimited. So you, like, it could be any number of messages, so you don't have that, so you do like that. And If you have to write the set notation, x is such that x belongs to natural numbers such that, because the text numbers, that's not going to be in decimal here, okay, that's not going to be decimal number. So here you're going to be x is greater than 64, like you cannot have 1.5 text messages. So hope you get it. Let's move to the next question. I'll be doing one example of this because this is, I hope you already did, solve each system of equation by using substitution. You just substitute a variable's value into other equations. So like I'm just doing 24, x is 1 plus 4y, so I replace this x by 1 plus y, so 4, but I won't directly write like this because this is going to give me wrong answer. I have to replace, if it's an expression, so it should go in the parenthesis minus y equal to 7, and now I distribute, so I distribute it like this. I get 4 plus 4y minus y is 7, and then 4 plus 3y equal to 7, and then you subtract 4 from both sides, so 3y is 3, and y divided by 3 you get 1. So now when you solve the system, in that case your answer is, you have to give an ordered pair x, y. X is, that's you have to find out. So x is what, here you have to 1 plus y, just plug in back whatever value you got x is, y is 1, so you're going to replace it, 1 plus 1, that's 2. So x is 2 and y is 1. So you got these values from here. So that's the way you do the problem. I hope you get it. If you like it, please subscribe and like and share. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Bye.